Hello and welcome back to the Developer Dad podcast. My name is Craig Fisk and I am a developer dad. Well, this week has been a pretty rocky week for me. I don't know about you guys, but yeah, it's been a rough one. So on top of getting on top of all the back to school stuff, getting back into the routine of school runs again, and fitting it around work and childcare, all those wonderful things. I actually managed to get a massive infection in my lower leg, and it's been really, really painful and incredibly inconvenient. So those of you that follow me on Instagram will probably have seen me whinging about this. But yeah, sort of had 3 doctor's appointments over 4 days about this. I got an insect bite a Wednesday night, and then by Friday morning was in absolute agony with it. The swelling and the redness was just huge on my leg. What had gone from 2 tiny little flecks of bites on my leg turned into a massive red swollen mess. So I went to the doctors about it, gave me antibiotics. Then they didn't seem to be working over the weekend, and it got worse and worse, started spreading around my leg. It was excruciatingly painful, had fevers, nausea, all sorts of nasty things. So eventually went to out of hours on Sunday. Got seen, got given some stronger antibiotics, and thankfully they seem to be working, although I am still in pain. It's getting better. The pain's getting more manageable. The fever and the nausea symptoms seem to be going away, and the redness on my leg slowly is fading. So hopefully by the end of the week I'll be back up and going. But it's been real tough trying to follow the doctor's orders and be off work and rest lots. Keep my leg raised, ice it. All these things that you're supposed to do to look after yourself kind of go out the window when you've got a pregnant wife, a 5-year-old running around, and a dog and 2 cats, and the house needs to keep running. So I've been trying my best to keep my leg up, but yeah, could probably do with doing more of that. But hey, stuff needs to be done. So in the interest of me getting some more rest and trying to take it easy, we'll probably have a little bit of a shorter episode this week than the past episodes. I don't know whether you guys prefer the shorter episodes or longer episodes. Let me know. Either reach out on Instagram or send me an email, hello@developerdad.co.uk. Let me know what you guys think, whether you like the short, to the point episodes, or whether you prefer to listen to me rambling on and on about stuff. So this week, I wanted to talk about some ideas to help keep us organised. As parents and just as adults in general, the more and more things you add to your life, the more and more complicated it gets, and quite often the more difficult it becomes to try and keep yourself organised. I know I noticed it really get a bit out of control and difficult to keep track of everything when my daughter was going into full-time school, doing the full 9 to 3, and my wife started going back to work part-time. So all of a sudden my wife went from being the one in the house and generally kept on top of things, kept organised, would go out and do things with my daughter. All of a sudden, also I changed jobs and ended up driving further than I was before. So all of a sudden it became, there's now childcare to organise both before and or after school. I needed to know, and because my wife was working shifts, I had no idea when those shifts were day to day. So is she going to be home for dinner? Is she going to be picking up my daughter? Is she able to do drop off? Am I doing drop off? Is she going to after school club? It was a never ending list of who's where, what, where and why, and became really difficult to keep on top of. So we have, over the past year or so, come up with a few things that help us keep on top of tracking our life and making it so we both are on the same page with things. Because it's no use just one parent having all this information in their head if they're not able to communicate it to everybody else. Phew. You guys probably won't notice this in the editing, but mid-podcast just had to run upstairs and resettle my daughter. My wife is already in bed. She's got to be up at 5 a.m. for her 6 a.m. shift. So yeah, have to go and do the duties. Parenting never stops. Okay, so what I've got for you this week then, because top 5s are overrated, I've gone for a top 4 of my top parenting tips to keep yourself organised. So obviously being the developer dad, most of these have got a more techie skew to them, but honestly they are the sort of things that anyone out there can set up, and I've found them incredibly useful. Most of these I've only probably really started using in the past year or so, and they've just helped tremendously since my since where I've started work and life has got all the more hectic with our schedules. It's some of these have been absolute lifesavers for us. So these aren't in any particular order, but I am going to save, I think, the best one for last. So let's go number 4. We're going to count them down. Number 4 is using an app called Google Keep. So for those that don't know, Google Keep is basically a notes app released by Google. It's available on all your mobile and tablet devices, as well as the web. And it is a great tool for keeping track of little pieces of information and little lists that you make. They're really quick and easy. They're throwaway. They could be archived, just deleted. They're just made to be ways of creating really quick notes that you can persist across all your devices. And I use this app constantly. So I'm just looking at my Google Keep right now, whether it be a note, so I remember what the family motto is for our family, to this top 4 list that I'm doing right now is in Google Keep. We've got a list of baby names for the new baby. I've got a list of podcast ideas. I've got my to-do list for my game that I'm working on. I have a note about how much student loan Whoops, sorry about that. I had a double whammy of interruptions then. Luna, the noisy German Shepherd, interrupting me mid-sentence, and then followed that by my daughter getting up to need to use the loo. So just went up and helped her get back to sleep again. Today is full of wonderful interruptions. Getting back to Google Keep. It's great for just general note keeping, etc. But it also has some fantastic extra functionality. So on top of just keeping all of these notes and lists, etc., you can then also associate labels with lists with each note. So you can have a way of organising them. So I've got, inspiration, personal, work, etc. labels. So you can filter down your lists of notes and keep them in that way. You can also colour code them all. And then the really cool thing is, especially if you are an Android user or just a Google Services user, you can also set reminders on your notes. Those reminders can either be tied to a specific time, or can be attached to a certain place. So you can write a little note in Google Keep and say, remind me about this when I get home. Remind me about this when I get to work. Those sort of things. So I've used it before when I had a really cool book recommendation I wanted to give to my wife. So I wrote a little note in Google Keep about it. And then I was listening to, it was because I was listening to a podcast when I was at work. I was like, oh, make sure you tell me about that when I get home so that I don't forget about it. And yeah, it was great. As soon as I logged into my Wi-Fi at home on my mobile device, a little notification popped up. I'm an Android user for my mobile, and yeah, great. I was able to then tell my wife about the recommendation. So really cool features like that in Google Keep. Oh, and one final killer feature that I use regularly is the fact that you can then share these notes and work collaboratively on these notes with other Google Keep users. So obviously, like the list of baby names, that is shared between me and my wife. So she sees the edits that I make. I can cross ones out that I don't like. She can add ones in, etc. It's a great way of collaborating on these sort of ideas. And yeah, so you can share these around with any Google Keep user. And yeah, it's incredibly useful for keeping track of stuff. Okay, so number 3 in our list of ways of keeping ourselves organised. Yeah, you know that killer feature that I was just saying about on Google Keep? The remind me about X when Y. That is also built into the Google Assistant. And I'm pretty sure is also built into Siri if you're an iPhone user. So again, yeah, this is another thing that I use really regularly. I'll hit the little voice assistant button on my phone and say, hey Google, remind me about X when Y. Remind me to buy milk when I get home. Remind me to make that phone call when I get to work. Remind me to take the bins out tomorrow. Things like that, and then you get little notifications that pop up on your phone. You can snooze them, you can say they're finished. They are great, and they integrate into your Google Calendar if you use that. It's a great way of giving yourself those little reminders, because I know I'm terrible at this. I forget little things like this constantly. So I've actually got one of these reminders set up to actually regularly remind me to empty the bins every Tuesday night. I get a little pop-up message at about 6 o'clock that says, hey, don't forget to take the bins out tonight. And then I don't get rid of that notification until I have taken the bins out, and I hit finished on that notification. It makes me feel good. Makes me feel like I've accomplished something, because I know I'm terrible. We all hate it when we wake up early in the morning and you hear the bin men outside your door and you know you haven't put those bins out. I know I've been one of those guys that's run out half naked carrying a bin, go, please empty my bin because you're not going to be back here for 2 weeks. So yeah, your voice assistant on your phone, whether it be Siri or Google or whatever, use them to remind you of stuff, because I know we're all forgetful and we've all got lots of things going on. Okay, number 2 in my list of ways of keeping yourself organised is a bit more of a low-tech solution, but one I find I constantly using, and I don't know why I didn't do this sooner. But I found these magnetic notepads and list pads. I found these originally in Sainsbury's. Actually, I just happened to notice them when I was doing my shop. And the little tear off notes. They come in various different sizes. I've got a weekly planner and a notes and a list pad. And they've just got a big old magnet on the back, and they tear off. So you stick them to the side of your fridge. And yeah, I use them constantly. I make my shopping list on them. I list out all the meals that we're going to have for the week on them. I actually recently bought a really cool new one that's actually a little mini clipboard with the big magnet on it as well, so you can take it around with you around the house making lists. But yeah, we've got a big list on there at the moment. My wife's been using of all the jobs that need doing before the baby comes. We've got another list of all the things that we need to buy before the baby comes. Things like that. It's a great way of getting this information out of your head onto paper. And at the end of the day, everyone can see it. Everyone knows that these are a list of jobs that need doing, whatever. This is the list of the meals that we're going to have this week. And, at the end of the day, when you're done, tear them up, throw them in the recycling, and move on to the next one. They're a great little way of keeping yourself organised, and they don't take up much space. They're not cluttering your worktops and stuff, and everyone can see them because they're just pinned to the side of the fridge along with with your kids' drawings, cards, and things that they've made. Okay, time for my number one tip. This I've definitely saved the best one for last. This one has been an absolute lifesaver. I use it all day, every day. Both me and my wife use this. So what this is create a shared calendar between you and your partner on your phone. I use the Google Calendar because it syncs in with all my other stuff, my Google Keep, my Google Contacts, my emails, etc. Things appear in there. But it's such a useful tool. So both me and my wife have a shared calendar that we put everything in, whether it be days that we're working, days we've got on holiday. My wife's shift patterns are in there. Days that we know we need childcare for, appointments we've got coming up, anything and everything that we need to both not forget is happening, and we need to make sure that each other are on the same page about. So this has been an absolute lifesaver with my wife having constantly changing shift patterns. It's helped me so much because I can look on any day or at the start of the week and I can see, okay, I know I'm doing school drop-offs this day because my wife's starting at 6 a.m. on those days. And I also know, I need to organise the after-school childcare on these days because both me and my wife don't finish until 5. Look, my wife has put her 20-week scan in the calendar for tomorrow. I need to make sure I ask work about having that time off. Just things like that. But it means so whenever anything new pops up. So, for example, when we were doing the summer reading challenge, we were at the library. We just completed the summer reading challenge, and we were given the invitation for my daughter to receive her medal and certificate. So, and they asked, which day would you prefer, this day or this day? I pull out my phone, I just say, hang on 2 seconds, look at my phone, I can look at those 2 dates, see what's going on, is there anything planned, is there anything scheduled? Nope, great, I know exactly which day, which time is going to be suitable for us, and then as soon as we agree to it, I then add that event to the calendar, and I'm done. Both I can see it, my wife can see it, we can see it weeks in advance. You can set reminders on events, so you get reminded ahead of time of things if you know that you're going to need to do some prep work for whatever it is. It's just such a fantastic tool, and one we hadn't thought about using before, and it's just to help organise our lives so much. And if you use the Google one, if you're an Android user especially, this can be incredibly helpful. It syncs in, like I said, with your Google Keep. All your reminders that you can do in Google Keep show up in your calendar. Things like that. It's great. You can look at it on your mobile, on your tablet, on your on just a desktop computer, on the internet. It's such a fantastic tool. I've actually been tempted to even buy just a cheap old tablet that I can mount onto the wall that just has our Google Calendar open on it 24/7, just because it just helps keep track of everything. I mean, we've had paper calendars for years, and it's always such a hassle of writing in everybody's birthdays at the start of whenever you're starting a new calendar, and are people keeping up to date with writing what they've got, what's happening, and all the rest of it. Whereas if it's on your phone, it's always in your pocket. You've always got it with you. You know you can always add to it. You can always read to it. You haven't got to wait until you get home to check whether you're free next Tuesday at 4 o'clock. You just take out your phone. 2 seconds later, you know exactly if you're free, and you can say yes to something. So, could not recommend that highly enough. Okay guys, so I hope you've found that helpful. I hope you found that enjoyable. If you have any suggestions, or if for parenting tips yourself, or if you try any of the things out that I've suggested this week, let me know how you get on. Reach out to me on Instagram. I am at developer_dad, or you can email me at hello@developerdad.co.uk. So that's going to about wrap it up this week. Thank you so much for listening. If you could rate, review, let other people know about the podcast, spread the word, I would be incredibly grateful. And if possible, I think the best place, if you want to try and help support the show in just a little way that doesn't take long, leave a review on Apple Podcasts, on iTunes. So thanks again for listening. Until next time, I'll catch you later.